any moment now. Just got to make sure it's, connected through. Everybody watching, sound off. Are we live or not? Are you giving me technical? No, it says you're live. Any moment now. Okay, it's coming through, but also it's not muted somewhere. Connected through. Where are you not muted? Watching, sound off. Where are you not muted? Are we live or not? Are you giving me technical? No, it says that's where it's muted, not muted. Okay. Discord. That saying I'm live. Da 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 da. Every time I start one of these, there's got to be technical problemos. Just how it is, for no reason. Things just have to be shenaniganizing every time. You'd think I'd be used to it by now. So, if you remember, last time around we were checking out CR-Volcanic's video on the monsters of Monster Hunter Online, which was really fun to check out. There were quite a few that I wish could come back and probably won't due to licensing issues because they're not owned by Capcom technically, which sucks. But we ended the last stream right when we were about to get into checking out the subspecies and variants, deviants, and whatever else online had in terms of taking the monsters that it had and doing something different with them. And I'm quite curious to see how that went. Now, if only my stuff would stop wigging out behind the scenes, and we will get into it in just a moment. While I do technical undifficultying, why don't you guys sound off in the chat? Anyone watching? Let me know I'm not all alone. I got these things above my head that you can spam at me if you want. Because things are fighting me for no reason, so might as well amuse yourselves with that for just a moment. Are you working now? Have the issues been resolved? It's like I go through the checks for nothing every single time. Okay. That seems to maybe... Nope, you're... Why are you freezing? Why is the first, 3 minutes of the stream always like this? Okay, we are... That seems to be good. Alright. Let me make sure our chat commands are actually working, because they sometimes don't. Okay. Everything is doing what it's supposed to now. Alright. Anyone that does that, but stuff messes up like that, but well, let's get back into it with where we left off, learning about the monsters of Monster Hunter Online. Oh yeah, Mephistion. I had a whole rant about this last time because this was the last monster we covered, but the forbidden dangerous monster equal to Fatalis Mephistion is a guardian monster. I refuse to think of it as not, because it makes just so much sense for it to be a guardian monster. I mean, I know it's not, because Wilds was after Online by a fair bit. And Mephistion isn't owned by Capcom, maybe. Licensing issues. More than likely, they just took ideas from Mephistion and adapted them into Guardians. At the same time, though, you gotta see it, right? Right. Alright, let's get to that. Go forward to touch the end of this to get to where we left off. But yeah, him coming back in a Wilds expansion, being revealed to be, another Zoshia equal dragon weapon attempt, but using Arcvale genetics would be so cool. Gold Congalala. I mean, I know he had Emerald, but
Congalala.
You just Congalala. Why am I pixel so pixely? YouTube, are you throttling? Yeah, you're on auto. That's why. There we go.
Deep in the remote woodland region known as the Esther Lake, you may find a species of Congalala with a beautiful pelt, littered with many shades of bright, brilliant orange, ranging almost all the way to yellow and red, with small shocks of steely blue fur under his eyes and at his wrists. It's funny. What is, I would say, far and away the best looking of the Congalala is the one.
Yeah, I kind of have to agree. But pink Congalala is classic. Green Congalala is just green. I think gold Congalala color scheme does really work. I don't know.
One who triples down on their most disgusting attributes.
I mean, of course it does. It's a Congalala variant.
Congalala are already a species of vulgar, gross-out monsters, using flatulence, dung, and belching up toxins from food as their primary weapons.
Yeah.
The golden Congalala not only...
Congalala are one of those monsters that it's fun to hunt if it's a video game. If I was a hunter, I would, if possible, not take on Congalala hunts, because I do not want to experience what the status effect is like in real life. You know, some Rob isekai'd me all of a sudden.
Only have larger fart clouds during their attacks, not only seem to have a heightened frequency of using said fart attacks, not only produce a stench debuff aura out of their backsides when angered, but also have an eloquent new combo in the form of a series of repositioning maneuvers whilst flinging a volley of excrement.
That sounds like Congalala, right?
What a gentleman. He also seems to be a bit faster and more aggressive, using less of Congalala's long recovery attacks where he throws his weight around. So, I kind of like Congalala. I think he's one of the first really good silly monsters, and...
Yeah, I agree. I do agree with that. Congalala was actually one of the early walls of Monster Hunter for me, back when I was bouncing back and forth between Try and Freedom Unite, just way early on. Still didn't really understand how to do anything in either of them. I'm not sure where I was in Try when I first got to the first Congalala hunt I did, but I was using the one Icicle Sword and Shield when I finally beat him. And I was never a Sword and Shield man. I think I was still mostly doing dual blades back then, but... Regardless, I like Congalala. He was initially difficult. He was one of those monsters that was initially really difficult, but the second you learn him, it takes nothing to destroy him. But Anna got a fond spot in memory, and this does feel like a better version of what Emerald Congalala could have been. So
the stench debuff is honestly kind of underutilized and could stand to be a bit more of a legitimate threat if utilized by tougher monsters.
Yeah, that's not sure what stronger monsters would use stench. I mean, it had to be a newer one, not newer, but like a new monster. But that could actually be interesting. Annoying to go against, but interesting.
I kind of like this guy. Plus, he's absolutely my favorite looking of the three Congalala. I'll give Golden Boy here a 7 out of 10 for wanting to...
Ultimately, it is just better Congalala, so I'll go 6.5 on my end. But it does seem... And that's it. Okay. Yeah, it really is just tougher variant Congalala. Is what a lot of subspecies are, but I was wondering if there's going to be more. Reminds me of... I can't remember. I think it's a type of snow monkey. I cannot remember the name of it.
Tepeki and Guren
Ooh.
Shen Garen.
And it looks like it's an arena fight. I love Shin-Garen, actually. Yeah, I know. I used to play Freedom Unite all the time, and Shin-Garen was actually one of my favorite siege hunts in Freedom Unite. Yeah, the old world siege hunts were a little boring, kind of, but I still liked them. And Shin-Garen was probably the best one, especially because it essentially had a prototype of the Wild's wound system all the way back then with its legs. Though I do wonder, because, like, firstly, it seems a little smaller than Shin-Garen, and that almost looks like a gigantic Akantor skull, but that's way bigger than any Akantor skull Kantor I've ever seen. Yeah, that's a Kantor skull, but that's way too big. At least I think it's way too big.
Now, here's an interesting pairing. Big ol' god crab Shen-Garen is in Monster Hunter Online as one of its raid bosses, and has brought along 2 lone species for 2 additional raid battles with their own mechanics. Tepeki and Guren Shen-Garen are more fiery than their monster of origin, more dangerous, and both wear the skull of an Akantor, as opposed to the Lao Shan Lung skull, often worn.
I thought it was a Akantor. Again, it is a huge Akantor skull, but
Worn by the typical Shen-Garen. Tepeki and Guren have what is effectively the inverse of the same gimmick. Let me explain.
What?
We'll go with Tepeki Shen-Garen first. So, from what I understand, with both of these guys, your goal is to knock them down as often as you can in order to break the Akantor skull shell on their backs for the best rewards. To do this, you have to wound the legs. In the case of the Tepeki Shen-Garen, his legs are covered in a hide harder than steel, which repels almost any weapon. To knock him down, you need to heat up his legs to make them more susceptible to damage. You can do this with fire traps found in supply drops, with ballista fire, and I believe with explosive damage from weapons like gun lances, and I think standard fire elemental attacks. The cool thing about online's raid battles is that you can bring in larger teams and have a broader composition of weapons. The strategy here seems to be to bring in a lot of longsword players for their unable to be deflected spirit combo.
yeah. So I preferred using hammer on base Shin-Garen, and doing the spin to win move on him. Longsword makes sense too. But it's interesting that you need to use fire element or fire damage adjacent things to weaken in his legs to be able to attack him. That almost makes me think of Gogmazios.
Few gun lances to heat up the legs, and some hunting horns for buffs and healing.
I mean, you always want corner buffs if you always want hunting horns if you can, but at least from what I've come to understand, I've always been solo hunter.
Second phase of the fortress defense, some hunters will need to break off and hold back an onslaught of Cenotar mobs so they can't intrude on the hunt. Though Tepeki Shen-Garen
That it's a little silly, but it's an interesting mechanic.
is slow, you need to be cautious. Stomps of his feet can cause small bursts of flame around him. He can swing his claws down in front of him. He can rear up on his back legs and slam down hard, igniting the ground beneath him. And he can unleash a colossal torrent of fire out of his Akantor shell.
I mean, I guess Shin-Garen had the acid balls, so that kind of makes sense, but seems like just fire subspecies Shin-Garen for the most part, but still. Be a fun hunt.
Additionally, stomps from heated legs can create some larger bursts of fire. The Guren Shen-Garen flips this fight on its head. He is superheated and glowing bright orange. Chunks of lava fall from his torso consistently, and he still has access to the Tepeki's massive slam and Akantor flame cannon. With this fight, you need to freeze his superheated legs in order to increase the damage dealt to them. This can be done with the use of ice barrel bombs that can be found on the map. Probably.
Okay, now this is reminding me even more, less of Gogmazios and more of Alatreon in World, with the needing to do fire or ice damage depending on which state he's in.
the ice elemental damage too, I think. So I can't claim to 100% understand the mechanics of both fights, and I'm not entirely sure what the goal was to have two alternative Shen Garen lone species in online, but at face value, Guren Shen Garen looks to be far superior to Tepeki. Sure, Tepeki Shen's super hardened legs seem to necessitate more creative tactics to deal with his gimmick, but the damage absorption of his super armored legs, the fact that you kind of seem to be punished by achieving your goal of heating his legs by increasing his stomp's blast radius,
Yeah.
and the lack of a major design overhaul minus the shell makes Tepeki seem a bit dragged out and exasperating.
I mean, especially if we compare it to this, because the, glowing magma shell on this version is really cool looking. I mean, I am a little curious as to the how of it, but at the same time, there's plenty of magma-coated monsters, so I'm not going to question it too hard.
Shen Garen, on the other hand, looks way cooler. He lacks some of the more damage-spongy elements of Tepeki, and doesn't make the fight worse when you freeze his legs. From what I can see, Guren Shen Garen pretty much just kind of invalidates Tepeki Shen. I'll give Tepeki like a 2 for wanting to see him in mainline Monster Hunter, and I'll give Guren a 7. I'd love to see Shen Garen come.
Okay, so I'll give Tepeki a 5. I'll give Tepeki a 5.5 because any more giant crab is more giant crab. But I think, yeah, I'll go with the 7 for this version too. Guren, Shin Guren. I think 7's pretty fair here.
Back in some way, shape, or form, and if he does, I could see him at least learning some tricks from this incarnation. He still doesn't look ridiculously fun, but definitely the best iteration of this monster so far.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it does make the Shin Guren fight more interesting if he's actually fighting back from more of it, but I do... This is a very hot take, actually, but I do actually kind of enjoy how unaffected the old world siege hunts were from what you were doing to them. It really sold how much bigger and more powerful these monsters were, that it didn't matter to them if you were wailing on them with a hammer for however long until you really got close to defeating them, that they actually, saw you as something of a threat to be dealt with, or more likely, an irritant to be squashed just due to their sheer size. I mean, obviously the hunt actually being an engaging hunt is better, but I never hated the old sieges. Sandstone Basarios, huh? Immediately, I like the color scheme of this. Even if it's just a recolor, which probably not just a recolor, it's a good recolor.
Basarios.
It's a good theme, too.
So this is a pretty cool concept. Basarios is a monster typically found dwelling in volcanic regions and has a shell composed mostly of minerals and ores. So what happens if you take a monster like this and have him live in a different environment with different minerals and ores? The result is a Basarios with a shell composed of sandstone rather than volcanic rock. As a result, the sandstone Basarios can no longer breathe or emit fire. However, it can intake and expel vast quantities of sand in a number of ways.
That's interesting, because I never saw Basarios and later Gravios' fire as being, they live in a volcanic region and have fire out of universe because of that, but it's always been a biological element. And there's plenty of desert fire monsters, too. So, it's kind of weird. It's kind of weird that they cut his fire, but at the same time, Basarios has a lot of tricks in his bag of tricks. So you could lose one, is fine.
This sand sticks to and inhibits the movements of those hit with it, inducing the muddied state.
And I have talked a lot about how I miss the Mudman, Snowman, Ossified, all of the various versions of you got a bowl stuck around you that you had to run around or use the cleanser on. I missed that status effect because it was fun. It was funny, and it still built up a lot of tension if you didn't have the thing to break free immediately, and you had to just run around and barely avoid the monster's attacks for a little while.
The sand from vents on his lower body, sending out multiple waves of the stuff, and he can fire it from his mouth as a beam. Additionally, the sandstone Basarios.
I mean, you kind of have to give him a sand beam if you take away his fire. Otherwise, it doesn't really, have as much ranged option.
Multiple ways of the stuff, and he can fire it from his mouth as a beam. Additionally, the sandstone Basarios seem to be much better at digging than the regular species, and can remain partially submerged within the sand while expelling his sand attacks.
I mean, later generation Gravios, at least with I'm pretty sure in Rise at least has a sand shark swimming thing you can do, so.
Of course, he still has
could have adapted that from this, maybe.
Poison and sleep gas producing organs found in the typical members of the species. I like this concept a ton. Monsters having drastic changes in their biology and abilities due to their environment changing is a fun way to make variations, especially.
Yeah, I mean, that's what a lot of the best subspecies are. I mean, look at acidic Glavios. Still probably one of the better ones in my mind. It's a good change on Basarios. I like it a lot, actually.
With a monster like Basarios, whose very hide is tied to the minerals in his surroundings. It makes sense that being near sandstone would alter his shell's composition and the nature of his abilities.
It does. It makes perfect sense. And again, it ties into that aspect of Monster Hunter that I love so much, to where it feels like a real world. If a Basarios hung out in the desert region far more than they normally do, it makes sense something like this would happen. Which makes it a real shame that this subspecies isn't going to get brought to mainline, probably, because, gotta be right, but it would be a perfect fit in.
So think he looks a little bit cooler than the
or
average
IP
Basarios.
or whatever.
I think I'll give him an 8 for wanting to see him.
Yeah, I'll go with that too, because it is a very good subspecies. An 8 seems pretty on point for that. It's what, like I said, there's not a whole lot I can say here. It's just a really well thought out subspecies idea of Basarios, but desert. My only contention with this is that I really hope, along with Sandstone Basarios, there is a Sandstone Gravios, because otherwise it's kind of concerning, because, because Gravios grow up into, Basarios grow into Gravios, so if there's not a Sandstone Gravios, either it means it just eventually migrates and essentially becomes a normal Gravios again, or it's kind of a evolutionary dead end, and this is less of a subspecies and more of a random mutation.
He's pretty dope.
Yeah, it is a very good Basarios redesign. I like it a lot.
Gold Hypnocatrice.
Ooh. You need something else breaking up all that gold. If it faded off into some orange at the ends of the feathers, or maybe you had some more silvery tones or something, straight gold, it looks like someone was just doing some chroma key shenanigans. I don't know. This design has, just looking at it, there's a lot of potential, but at the same time, you need something to counterbalance that much gold, unless it's Kul'Taroth. But even then, Kul'Taroth had other colorations. It was mostly gold, but I don't know. I like gold, but not that much.
Yet another golden lone species, and yet another.
I mean, it does fade to a more yellowy color towards the end, but it's still a bit too much gold.
Another another variation of Hypnocrates, the eccentric, sleep-inducing bird wyvern. This guy's filled with the same high energy and wacky personality that the species is known for, perhaps kicking it up to the highest level we've seen for Hypnocrates.
Really?
He runs around squawking and prancing and charging to and fro and all over the place non-stop. He has Silver Hypnocrates' dropkick and an attack where he lands so violently that he can hurt his own legs.
That is fun. I really like that.
He can
I mean, it sucks with Hypnocrates, but I mean, we're hunting it, so. But that is actually a very interesting mechanic. I like that.
Cloud of sleep gas and land on it hard enough to cause it to expand in several directions.
I mean, a lot that Hypnocrates is originally from Frontier, as we've recently learned. That's not crazy compared to some of the things it was getting up to there.
Gold Hypnocrates' big claim to fame, however, is a similarly expelled yellow gas cloud.
Oh?
On contact, you will receive the drunken status, where you
That's a new one.
will still fall asleep, but when you wake up, your controls will be temporarily reversed.
Oh, that. Reverse controls. That. I don't know if that's fun or absolutely horrifying or both. That seems like it would be both, because doesn't a version of not Malaise, no Malzeno, Mephistia? Yeah, Mephisto's the owl, the fortune owl. Isn't there a version of Mephisto that can also do that, actually? You guys in the comments, please tell me. I skipped 4th gen. Is there a version of the owl that does that?
I'm not sure exactly when Gold Hypnocrates was added to online, so I'm not sure if this reverse control idea originates with him or Mephisto.
Yep, he said it himself. Mephisto does that. Same brain cell. Monster Hunter fans share it.
In 2015. It is kind of cool that there is another monster with his ability, and for that reason alone, I suppose it would be kind of neat to see Gold Hypnocrates again. Just to have
I mean, it is a very interesting status effect.
Another monster with this status out there. He's also
I'd have to experience it to know whether it'd be horrible or fun, though.
Got a ton of really goofy animations, and I love how lively, just in general, Hypnocrates can be.
Yeah, I do love the quirkier bird wyvern, flying wyverns like Hypnocrates and Yonkutku for that reason.
Will say, though, he might be my least favorite looking of all 4 Hypnocrates. Not
Monster Hunter fans, share the brain cell. Oh, it really does seem like that.
that bright yellow looks bad on him, but
Yeah.
it's not as grounded as the standard Hypnoc. He's got less interesting colors than the blue season Hypnoc, and he's not as cool looking as the silver Hypnoc. Okay, he's better looking than Zenith Hypnocatrix.
Oh, yeah.
But that's not exactly the highest bar.
I mean, yeah, the beak on Zenith and Hypnocrates is pretty funky. I believe I was confounded by it, too, when I was going through Frontier monsters. But this is a bad angle of the Zenith Hypnocatrix beak. Looking at it from the Super Rad videos we were looking at on Frontier a while back, it kind of looks better with the beak closed and on side profile, but I don't know. I kind of like Zenith Hypnocatrix overall a bit more than Gold Hypnocatrix in terms of appearance, because I mean, even then, it's got the color variations throughout the beak. It's got, different hues across its feathers and scales and all that. It's a lot less homogenous than Gold Hypnocatrix is, because Gold Hypnocatrix, it looks like someone tie-dyed Hypnocatrix, right? This doesn't look like it developed. Someone gave Hypnocatrix a bath in turmeric to try and deal with it, or to try and clear out parasites from its feathers or something, because that's what it looks like. This Hypnocatrix was dyed this color. It's not, because if there was, it would look a lot better actually if we had some darker blues. It was like, say, Let me know if you'd like to see me mess around with the render of Gold Hypnoxry, see if I can't make it look better, because kind of want to do that now. Like, take, say, the tips or the base of the larger feathers, make them a more vibrant, not quite ultramarine blue, maybe, but something like that. Almost like a toucan blue. I don't know. I mean, it needs something to break up the in-your-face gold yellow of it.
6 out of 10 for wanting this guy?
Yeah, 6 out of 10's fair. Again, Monster Hunter fans share the brain cell. I also miss Great Thunderbugs. I don't know if that's a weird take or not, but the Great Thunderbugs actually being a small monster you could hunt, or I guess smack with your weapon once to disperse them, but I don't know. Might just be reminiscing about the jungle map.
Flame Blangonga.
What? No. No.
From the snowy mountains to the mountains of fire.
Iapray. Are those Iapray? I think those are Iapray, but no. Immediately, first thought, I don't like fire element Blangonga. It just doesn't jive with me.
This Blangonga's a long way from home.
Yeah.
Out here in the volcanic
Too far.
heat, Blangonga's fur has turned a deep red. His whiskers have turned yellow, his skin has turned black, and he has a long spike of yellow fur coming up off the top of his head. His forelimbs also seem to be charred and burned and devoid of fur entirely up until a bit past his elbows. The hair spike's not my favorite touch, but in general, I do really like this recolor for the guy. So
I guess we don't always share the same brain cell, because no, I don't like this version of Blangonga at all, actually.
first and foremost with the Flame Blangonga. A lot of his major snow and ice
A Jerrican works because it's a lot more scaly reptilian with its fire monkey shenanigans. This, no. This doesn't feel right to me. If we were gonna make Fire Blangonga, he's got to be a lot less on furry than he is now. And I mean, maybe not. I don't know. The design is not sitting right with me. And is my monitor camera behind or something going on here? What's going on here? What? What? I think my second monitor has froze again. Really? Don't make me have to close the whole thing. Nope, okay. We are going to very carefully start fixing this because it's wanting to freeze on me. I have too much going here, apparently. Are you kidding me? I thought I fixed this earlier. Can you stop lagging out enough that I can try and fix you, please? Please work a little bit. Come on. Need you working so I can monitor the stream, and I don't need you messing things up right when I'm starting to get into the swing of things. Really? Why are you glitching out so bad today? Come on. Come on. Respond to anything I'm doing. Don't make me have to shut the whole thing down and restart it, please. Okay, force quit. This is going to affect the streams itself. I have a second thing up watching the stream so I can monitor it, but it is not working at all. So I need to force close it and then reopen it so I can keep an eye on things, but it is not wanting to do that or work at all. Come on. Okay, you're starting to respond. Just close the thing and let me reopen it, please. You're gonna be difficult. Alright, we're just gonna keep watching this with no idea how the stream's going for a minute and hope that that clears up.
Attacks have been turned into fire attacks. He can rip up and fling a huge chunk of volcanic rock in front of himself. Instead of his ice breath attack, he can exhale a blast of fire that he can sweep back and forth. Unlike the
It just Fire Blangonga does not sit right with me.
regular Blangonga, who can only exhale his ice blast directly forwards. On top of the physical attacks you can typically expect from a Blangonga, this guy's got a half-decent arsenal of new moves. He can
Him getting Magma Rock Fist is fun, though. At least there's that, but I'm just not
reposition
vibing
using
with the
side
overall
hops.
thing.
He can chain his diving punches together, and he can leap up and twist in midair, causing bursts of fire to erupt out of the ground as he lands. The coolest thing Flame Blangonga can do, however, is stuff his hands down into the rock beneath his feet and bring them back out coated in molten stone. These fiery rock gauntlets make his arms nearly impervious
But again, Jerrican does that way better, so.
to damage, can add fire effects to his punch attacks, and when he's done with them, he can punch so hard that the molten rock comes flying off his fists as projectiles. Big fan of this guy. Most of the recolor looks really good. He works with his new environment exceptionally well.
Again, I heavily disagree about the recolor working with Flame Blangonga. Oh, are you starting to respond to me again over here? Thankful you. Can we get this to close and restart so I can actually monitor the stream without it hopefully messing up? Clear some of this up at least where you're gonna work correctly. Please? Stop freezing. And move so where I can actually see the chat messages if there's any. Sorry about this, guys. I really am. I hate it when this happens, but it does happen once in a while. Thought I got it to where I wasn't going to do this. But things happen. Things happen whether or not you want them to sometimes. Can you... Nope, you're freezing. Oh, are you freezing again? Can I get you working? Just gonna take one version out and hopefully close the rest of it. And maybe it'll chill out. And the copied version will work. Or it could freeze again. Okay, we're just gonna watch the stream for a minute. Hope that clears up, and I can finally see this correctly.
Both to complement his fiery new abilities and independently of them completely. This is an excellent monster variation. I'll give Flame Blangonga a 9 for how much.
No, I'm gonna give it a 5 because I don't hate it, but yeah, like I said, like I was trying to say in between trying to deal with things not working at all over here. I strongly disagree with your take on this one. Actually, I don't like I said, I don't hate this version of Blangonga, but actually, I'll give it a 4 actually because I don't hate it, I don't like it, and I feel negatively enough about it that I'm gonna put it below neutral. So yeah, I'm gonna say 4, maybe even 3, honestly, because just something about Fire Blangonga just does not vibe with me. It doesn't work in my head. I just don't like it. I don't know fully what it is about it that I don't like. Because again, well, no, it's the fur. It's the furriness in general of Blangonga. It doesn't make sense for the volcanic region, and it just doesn't look right at all. Because, like I said, a Jerrican does Fire Monkey way better. It's probably the same reason I didn't like Volzhang, actually. And I don't really like Ajarakan all that much either, if I'm being honest. Something about the monkey type of Fanged Beast being in volcanic regions just doesn't sit right with me. If only I could get my second monitor that's supposed to be showing me what's going on here actually working. I have no idea if my model is wigging out too like this is, or if there's any issues with the stream, because it's wanting to freeze on me and I can't see anything. Go here, go through this, go back into Moog Extra, go over to the stream, put the little live circle around. Okay, finally. Yeesh. Sorry that was being such a hassle. We good? Are you finally working correctly? I think you are. Okay. Maybe? Yeah. Okay, sorry about that. Technical difficulties are not fun. Is what it is. Let's get back to it.
I like to fight him.
But yeah, no, I'm gonna put him at a 4 because I just everything I've said previously. The music for him is really good, though.
Gongen Hermitar.
Hermitar variants. Ooh! Okay, I'm immediately liking this one a lot more. I'm guessing paralysis crystals?
I didn't think I'd ever be somewhat intimidated by a Daimyo Hermitar, but here we are. Another resident of the mysterious and secluded Esther Lake. We have a wandering
what was that move? Okay.
Daimyo Hermitar, whose carapace has turned a gleaming onyx black, his Monoblo shell has been bleached white, and his claws are now adorned in glittering amber crystal. This dude looks like a menace, let me tell you. Those crystals are absolutely...
They're explosive.
Not just for show. The core gimmick of Gongen Hermitar is shredding his targets to death by violently firing off chunks of those amber crystals. Anytime he scrapes his claws together, he's likely going to fire off a buckshot of crystal. He can clash his claws directly in front of him to fire off a straight shot of crystal. He's got a punch walk where he strikes the ground so hard that it sends these projectiles flying everywhere. He can
I really like this version.
Like this with a shockwave created by his claws slamming together. This guy can slam a claw down, embed it into the ground, and use it as an axis to spin around, launching himself up into the air only to come crashing
That is
down,
such a good move.
Salvo of arcing artillery crystals every which way.
That is such a good attack animate. That is like Chef's Kiss. That is this Daimyo Hermitar subspecies is fantastic.
This motherfucker can even jump out of his impenetrable shield and land hard for another crystal burst. And this dude just hurts. Just blocking some of his bigger attacks is gonna take some healthy chunks out of that health bar. This guy has mix-ups on a good amount of his original attacks. He's got scary projectiles. He's got combos, high damage, and a fantastic looking design. I kind of want to give this dude a 10, which is...
No, like not 10, but definitely an 8 or 9, I'm thinking.
Funny, Daimyo Hermitar is just supposed to be this goofy, low-level little guy. Not really anything all that crazy, but you know, 10 out of 10 for Gongen Hermitar.
I can see why you say that, honestly. I'm saving my 10s for the ones I think are, like, truly, like, have both like ecological lore impact, or at least the potential for it, as well as phenomenal design. So, but it is a phenomenal design. So I'm gonna give it a 9, but like maybe even yeah, a 9. But it is really good. I like it.
I want to fight this dude.
Yeah, yeah, I do too. I loved the base crabs. I want to fight this guy too. Yeah, sharing the brain cell again. This is a great version of the crab.
Onimusha.
It's you know what? This is almost giving me, just off of the color scheme, this version of Shogun Centaur is giving me Tyranid vibes, actually. His sights look a little more shovel claw-like. I need to see more of him. But that, at the very least, it's a nice recolor. But whoa, that's a shield. That's a shield, and the other arm's a sword. He's dual. Oh, I get where this is going. I like that. They gave him a buckler shield and made him more of a duelist.
From Hermitar to Cenotar. And this one's a little bit of a step down. Onimusha quite literally translates to demon samurai. And I kind of feel like they may have been the slightest bit generous with that.
Yeah,
this lone species,
maybe.
Shogun Centaur, is a much more nimble and practiced combatant than your typical Shogun Centaur. He also has one oddly formed claw, it having a more shield-like shape to it. He's also rocking this new teal color, which I definitely don't like as much as the regular blue. This
I kind of do, actually. Like, don't get me wrong, I like the more out in your face blue of the regular Shogun Centaur. I mean, here's a good comparison with the regular Centaur, but I think the more muted, ghostly look, especially if it's supposed to be, demon samurai, quote unquote, it works. And if this second arm is supposed to be a shield, like I'm thinking, it gives me almost like fencer vibe. I like that.
guy does have a couple of neat looking new attacks. He can double up his standard claw sweeps, he can perform a retreating claw slash, and he has a terrifying double spinning slash attack.
That does look brutal.
Is that he doesn't really seem to do anything with his special malformed looking shield claw. It just does the other one does. I'm not really sure what the point of this design choice was.
Yeah, if you're gonna give him a shield claw, he needs to use it as a shield. That is such a okay, that immediately drops my thoughts on this design, because if he isn't actually using the shield claw as a shield, then what's the point? Like, what is the point of giving him sword and board if he doesn't use the board part and just uses it like another claw swipe? They should give him, I mean, like, Daimyo Hermitar, it shields up with one of its arm, it uses them defensively. Let this version of Shogun Centaur guard with its shield arm. It'd be such a missed opportunity.
I will say, though, what is cool about Onimusha is his ranged and elemental capabilities. They're definitely the strongest of any other Centaur. For one thing, he seems to keep his Gravio shell on a lot more, starting with it at the very least, which means he has access to his water beam attack from his back a lot more than the regular Centaur seems to. And the neatest thing about this guy is that he keeps his poison spray that adult Centaurs always lose. I bet some of you even forget that adolescent Centaurs have that poison spit.
I did until you mentioned it, because it is very rare that they will do it. But I thought I remembered in some of the more modern games, maybe it was right. Like, I know they come back in Rise, but I haven't got that far in it. I honestly need to go through and finish out base Rise and maybe eventually Sunbreak if I can get it. But I thought they had poison spray in that.
And Onimusha has a much more powerful version of the attack. With a name like...
Or maybe it's clips from one of the Stories games that I was seeing that had him do it.
Demon Samurai. I kinda expected a little more. I think Rust
Yeah,
Razor is probably still the scariest Scimitar out there.
yeah, Rust Razor overall does seem better than this, but if they the potential was there. If he actually like did blocking, deflecting things with his shield, that could it would elevate him like so much more. But just it's a different shaped claw that he uses like the other one. Hmm.
So I cannot deny that this guy does some pretty cool things, and keeping the poison, I think, is a really cool touch for a Scimitar. I think Onimusha gets a 6 for wanting.
Yeah, I'll give him a 6 too. Now, if he actually, guarded with his shield, it would be bare minimum 7. But because he's just better Scimitar, I mean, I like the Scimitars. Better Scimitar's good. More crab is good. 6. Just the wasted potential here is killing me. If he would actually do guarding, blocking stuff, that would be so good.
To see him in mainline Monster Hunter. At the very least, I think there's some good stuff to cherry pick off of it.
Yeah, I think they did. Like I said, I think they did. Not sure how old this video actually is. Probably should check that at some point. But I also don't want to feel like I aged 1,000 years.
Flame Tigrex.
Ah, I've heard of this one, I think. No, it was Molten Tigrex. No, I was thinking of. Never mind.
Yet another flame lone species, and yet another variation of Tigrex. Also, he will be the last of our lone species for the day. We do have a good chunk more variations to go through after this, though. Here, we have a Tigrex who has made his home within volcanic mountains and caverns. His
Not
shell
that crazy
has
so
grown
far,
accustomed to the
but
heat that patches of lava have hardened and now cling to his wing arms and head. And only very specific attacks can soften up the armor of this fiery Tigrex. This guy's... he's okay. And I really like Tigrex too. Combat-wise, he's...
yeah, I do really like Tigrex. I like Tigrex a lot. Not as much as... well... yeah, Tigrex probably is up there in my favorites. Especially Freedom Unite Tigrex. I mean... but... because I had Freedom Unite Tigrex down to a science. By the time I ended up stop playing Freedom Unite, but this isn't doing it for me. This feels like all I can muster is an for this version. It's
quite the powerhouse. He has several attacks that can rip up the ground underneath him, carving it into razor-sharp rocks. His charges are ferocious. He has Brute Tigrex's massive bellowing roars, which he can sound off in rapid succession. He has this one really neat animation.
He's got a nice tail stake, though. At least give him that.
I like, where if you're behind him, he'll lift up and look under his wing to find you before he charges at you.
That's fun. That takes it up a little bit, but even then... Tigrex, but Ignactor.
He has 2 attacks that can soften his lava armor. For his wings, he has a heavy stomp that will force his claws underground.
He also feels too shiny and slick to me a little bit.
Igniting them, and for his head, he has one incredibly powerful fire roar. And on paper, this is a cool gimmick.
On paper, it's cool, but it just doesn't feel right.
Not wholly original. We've seen a lot of fire armor before, but it's a cool concept. There's 3 issues, though. Number 1, he does not do these specific attacks very often, at least from the fight that I watched. Number 2, his body parts do not stay heated for very long after he does those attacks. And number 3, and this might just be myself, I don't think this is a great idea for Tigrex specifically.
Yeah, again, we're same brain selling it again, because this doesn't feel like a Tigrex. Like, this doesn't feel like the kind of thing that a Tigrex would become. I could see a lot of other monsters getting, a fire magma subspecies, but Tigrex, it just doesn't feel right with.
Making it so that you can bounce off Tigrex's head clashes kinda with.
Oh, I didn't even consider that. You can bounce his. Oh, yeah, no. Immediately that drops it way down because, like I said, I had Freedom Unite Tigrex down to a science, and one of my favorite things to do was to go in with a real good greatsword or even hammer later on, charge up as he was charging at me. It's best to do this with the greatsword. Like, I would be charging the attack and time it spot on to where the hurt box of my greatsword would hit him right before I actually got hit, and it would be a fully charged slash, and it would knock him out of the charge. And there is nothing more satisfying when hunting a Tigrex than actually catching him in the face with a full charge, full strength attack and knocking him out of it. Which is partly why I love the offset attacks in Wilds as much as I do, because it's that same kind of rush, except even better because it's an actual mechanic and not just getting lucky with trying to do this, of timing it just right and hitting them out of it is, and for that to be interrupted by it bouncing off of the magma armor on the, no, that's, ugh, I do not, that's so awful. I don't like that at all.
Tigrex's core combat design, interrupting a Tigrex charge with a perfect strike is
yes!
a rite of passage.
Yes!
No, with that.
You don't, because look at this. What is more...
What hunting Tigrex
yes!
is about.
What is more hype than doing that? Like you said, that's what hunting Tigrex is about if you're using a weapon that can do that. Because it is the best. You don't mess with that.
It's funny. Flame Tigrex has a little bit of Brute Tigrex, a little bit of Molten Tigrex,
yeah,
a little bit of Grimclaw Tigrex, and a little bit of Deorex. And in the end, the result is a monster considerably less interesting
than all of them. Yep.
4.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll give him a 4 too, because of the sheer... If it wasn't for the magma armor on the head bouncing and stopping the best part about hunting Tigrex, I'd give him a 5. Because, like I said, up until that point, I was just kind of eh. Actually, you know, no. I'm giving that a 3. Because, like you said, you don't... with the Tigrex charge interruption big attack, it is... You don't mess with that. It's something sacred. Come on.
I like this animation a lot.
Yeah, the look under the arm thing is great, but... Why would you ruin the best part about Tigrex? He does have a... I said this a second ago, I think, but he does have a nice tail steak, at least. I'd eat that.
Subspecies and variants. Alrighty, we got, I think, 15 or 16 subspecies and variants to cover next. Some pretty simple stuff. I'll give them their due, especially if they got something particularly interesting going on. I'm going to go through this by monster categories in the order of the wiki page. Let's go. So,
okay.
Ice Cremine. Pretty on par with the subspecies you'd see coming out of, let's say, the 3rd generation. Ice Cremine takes the explodey, desert-dwelling Cremine, brings them to the polar regions, recolors them with an Arctic sheen, and adds an icy burst effect to his elemental attacks. Icy subspecies are certainly nothing new, but I don't ever really find myself all that tired of them. I think it's a pretty...
I do like ice subspecies, but this one, from what I've just seen so far, not hitting it.
Good go-to for new attack effects and re-upping the design. Ice Cremine retains his tan shell and blue hide, perhaps with the brightness turned down a little bit, and now has icy textures on his wings, tail, beak, chest, and back. Looks pretty neat, but I also kind of think he looks like a Cremine got lost and got snowed on all day.
Yeah.
Ice Cremine is mostly just an element swap from fire to ice, but with a few new attacks and improvements on old ones. He can find
Gravios, or not Gravios, Gypseros, and I guess Cremine, they're not ice region monster, and this subspecies version of them also doesn't really look like it's ice region monster. It looks, like you said, it looks like it got lost here and stuck, and it's struggling to adapt, and not in a way that feels compelling to me.
Fire off ice projectiles in straight shots and in arcs. He can cause ice to burst up from his beak slams out of the ground, and he can temporarily fly up into the air beyond the reach of melee weapons and fire down several icy blasts. Nothing crazy here, but nothing bad. I'd say a 5.
Yeah, I was gonna say 5 too, and you said, because you just it's ice version of Sand Explosion Gypsros. Sand Explosion Gypsros, I think I put a little higher than 5, but I'm basing this off of the previous version. It does nothing for me either way. 5.
Suppose one-eared Yangaruga. Okay, so
Do we not already have one-eared Yangaruga throughout every main line in the various versions?
oh yeah, it's kind of cool that we have a monster who is defined by the fact that he gets into so many fights that wounded Yangaruga who are made more dangerous by their experience is enough of a commonality within the species population that the guild classifies said injured Yangaruga as their own variants. But this is the third one. Scarred,
Yeah.
Deadeye,
Yeah.
and now one-eared. Good.
Like there's no difference between it. There's no difference. It's just arch-tempered Yangaruga. And I love it, because Yangaruga's great. Yankutku got with Arathian. I stand that joking fan theory. But yeah, it's just scarred or hurt or one-eared or dead-eye Yangaruga. It's Yangaruga that has lived long enough to get messed up and is stronger for the experience. It's good, because Yangaruga, but it's the same.
Lord, stop hurting this bird. I guess I like the green scale tint and red accents on his spines, but
yeah, it's a nice color scheme variant, but
quite literally seen this before.
Yes.
He doesn't even really have any new moves. He can use Yankaku's arcing fireballs along with his typical straight shot so that's something. Dude even loses his balance and stumbles around after some of his attacks, and he has trouble landing after he flies. This feels like punching down. He is actively the least capable of the 3 Yangaruga who are classified by being mutilated. I guess that's more realistic. Decent attention to detail. 1.
No, you can't give him 1. I'm gonna give him an 8 because it's another scarred Yangaruga, and I love Yangaruga. No, you can't do that to my boy. No, I'd have him back. I'd have him back as much as the other versions of Yangaruga. Actually, I might put this one higher because he stumbles around and stuff, and I find that funny. Dread Beyblade, huh? I already liked base Beyblade.
Okay, so we're seeing some subspecies that add to a few of the base monsters that I was a little whelmed by in terms of their gameplay. The Dread Beyblade is a status supercharged incarnation of our spider crab friend from earlier. Not only does the Dread Beyblade come with a new host of web attacks, but he can infuse them with poison and paralysis. These little shocks or poison bubble effects on the webbing will indicate which attacks do which status. He can fire off singular web
Very
shots.
interesting.
He can retreat backwards while doing this. He can fire off several webbing traps in arcs in front of him and in incredibly long-range trails in front of him. He can also fire off several web traps into the air, only for the webbing to come raining down around him. He can keep...
Oh, I just realized I didn't say this at the start. If you guys watching this want to see more of CR-Volcanic, or check out this video without me pausing and inserting my own stuff, the link to this video is in the description. I said that last time, but I don't think I said it at the start this time because I was distracted with technical issues. So I just realized that, so I figured I should say that. But I like this. I already liked basic Beyblade. This version is just even more Nursilla-y. Which, now that I say that, making it even more Nursilla-y, I'm a little off with, but...
constant barrage of these status-inducing web traps on the ground.
It is. I do like status monsters more than I think some people do, but I like the color palette and the scheme of the design, but something about this one, I like the look of regular Bailey more. But I like the status stuff this one's doing.
Necessitating decent awareness of surroundings.
Oh, it almost looks like it has the same kind of color palette as Raydal, actually, now that I'm thinking about it.
However, none of the individual web traps are particularly huge, so it doesn't look too annoying to evade with and deal with these attacks. Just some decent situational awareness. His physical attack roster isn't expanded on all that much, but at least now there's a lot more of his web shenanigans mixed in to keep the fight feeling more interesting. His recolor here is kinda neat, going for a dull yellow for most of the shell and a...
I can't tell if I like the recolor version or not. You know what? It's reminding me. I can never remember the actual name of the spider species. My family always called them zipper spiders because their webbing always has this like zigzag zipper pattern in them. But that's what it's reminding me of. I think they're a type of orb weaver, maybe.
Deep dark violet for the highlights, kind of Somnicanth colors actually. I
There's
don't
some
think he
Somnicanth
looks
too,
as
yeah.
good as the regular Bailey, but he does look pretty good. Honestly,
Yeah.
if Bailey were ever remade,
Again, Monster Hunter. Same thing I was saying. I mean, technically before I said it because this, video existed, but yeah, Monster Hunter fans share a brain cell most of the time.
I wouldn't mind
Every time I watch another Monster Hunter video, I get that same impression.
kind of just making this the whole creature now. The web attacks and physical attacks seem way more evenly distributed.
Yeah.
And the poison and paralysis adds some half-decent menace here. Dread Bailey can get a 9 for wanting to see him in mainline Monster Hunter.
I think an 8 or 9 was what I gave base Bailey. Maybe a 7, but in context of that, I'll give him... I think I'm going to give him a 7 because I like base Bailey's potential more, I think, because this... Like, objectively, this is the better monster, right? But something about it seems like it lost a little bit of the vibe that base Bailey had. And if, the licensing issues were ever fixed or resolved or however, whatever the legalese, I'm not a lawyer of, the online originals is, I think taking base Bailey and maybe incorporating bits of this one into it, but keeping it more like the base one would be better. It's a good subspecies, but I don't know. Like I say, it doesn't hit quite as hard as base Bailey. So I'm gonna go 7 out of 10.
Worked into the baseline Bailey. I think he definitely still get some tweaks up in his 6th generation Monster Hunter game, but Dread as he is seems to be a fairly complete vision for what this creature can be. Swordmaster Shogun Ceanataur.
I've heard of this one.
Here we
I've seen pictures of this one.
Have a Ceanataur who slipped and fell in some strawberry jam and is incrementally more skilled with his claws. In terms of his gameplay, I'm noticing 2 big changes. The first is that his claws are permanently extended rather than retracted when he isn't enraged. And the other change being that he can cancel his charging claw hug into some of his other claw attacks. Also, he seems to be able to attack in a more rapid succession than your typical Shogun. That's really the bulk of what I'm seeing here.
They're just Red Hell Mazuros.
They're 2 cool ideas, but I don't think they really justify a whole new monster variant. High-key, if you just altered the context of this version of Shogun, I'd like him a lot more. I don't think there's enough here to justify there being a Swordmaster Shogun Ceanataur. If you put these fight changes on a Hazard Quest Shogun Ceanataur, by that I mean like the Hazard Quest monsters in Sunbreak, where they altered certain properties of the moves slightly.
I haven't got to Sunbreak, so I have no context for that. But or like an arch-tempered Shogun Ceanataur or something like that. That would make a lot more sense, because this doesn't feel like enough for a subspecies, like you're saying.
I would think these are awesome changes for a more challenging version of a regular Shogun.
Yeah.
As its own separate individual,
It's not enough.
Here. I'm going to say 1 out of 10 for...
I said it exactly as yeah, same brain cell. I wouldn't say 1 because I'm doing this as like my ranking isn't just is my opinions on it as a whole, and I'm using 5 as my and then everything below 5 is negative thoughts. So I'll give this one a 5 because, like I say, it's pretty. I'll give it a 5.5 because it's a little better than feeling nothing about it. But yeah, like he was saying, and I was saying, it's not enough to be its own subspecies.
Wanting
Not different enough.
Shogun Senator himself being brought in, but I'd love to see these changes made for a stronger Shogun in an event quest like the Hazards. Elemental Bulldrome.
What?
So,
I think I just had a stronk or something. I cannot express the what. What? Like someone spammed the NANI emote, the NANI thing, because why? This, you better have a really good reason for this, or you're relegating it to event quest shenanigan, because what? No. Just no. No. And this is from someone who once tried to do something like this, but I put seemingly more thought. I don't know. Just no.
I couldn't find any footage of this quest. From what I understand, this was an April Fool's Day event quest.
Okay, immediately changed the thought. April Fool's Day event quest. All objections retracted. April Fools. We're good.
Where you could fight a Bulldrome that could be wreathed in a random elemental aura, and if you broke his
April
tusks,
Fools, it's fine.
you could literally use all the elements at once.
Okay. Okay, with the context of this being April Fool's, that is an April Fool's event that is hilarious. And I actually like that. Now, I've gone from unabashed why to this is peak. Because it's an April Fool's Day prank quest. And that is perfect.
10 out of 10.
You know what? Yeah, 10 out of 10. Perfect April Fools.
Please, somebody recreate it. Yellow okay, so it's...
Okay, this yellow color palette immediately feels way more natural than the gold Hypnocatrice.
And he's yellow, and he's in the desert, and he uses way more mud attacks.
Okay.
It's fine. Kind of something I'd expect.
I don't know why he'd be in the desert. Doesn't really feel like a place that a beaver bear would go to.
Out of, like, say, a Freedom Unite era subspecies.
Yeah.
You can leave long-lasting dug-up...
This is early Monster Hunter Freedom Unite subspecies. Just make him a different color and slightly stronger.
Chunks of mud on the ground that can slow down movement, and he can also use...
I mean, he's got Mudman, so little positives.
Now, so he's definitely not just a palette swap. I also think he looks like a lot worse.
Yeah.
For the new
yeah, the base design does look better.
fur that this guy has. The yellow stripes on the original Caesar Burr look like they were drawn on with a yellow highlighter. 3. Salvageable.
Nah, I'm gonna give it... I'll give it 5 because it's And I'm using 5 as my meh, but it's not even a 5.00001. It's full meh for me, because yeah, Freedom Unite era subspecies will just make it a different color. Move on.
Pretty whatever. Also, how's he gonna build dams out in the desert?
Yeah.
Caesar Burr.
Oh, this is immediately better.
Okay, so it's Caesar Burr, and he smokes weed all the time, and he rolls more, and he's a bit more violent, and his roar requires earplugs. Pretty much the exact same thing I said for Swordmaster Shogun Senator applies here. There's a couple of neat little changes and some minor bumps in the toolkit that could be useful for a special event quest Caesar, but doesn't really justify a new monster. I'll give him, I guess, a 2 because I like.
Yeah, because I'll give this one like a 5.5 because this color scheme, this is better looking by far. And I could very easily see this being like the arch-tempered version of this guy.
The roll attack.
And I loved the base version of Caesar Bear, so yeah, 5.5. It's a little bit better than
Purple Slice Margle. So this guy looks terrifying with
No.
skills to counter his abilities.
I did not like base Slice Murgle. I think I gave him a 5 or lower because he's just He does nothing about him. There's like nothing gripping about him for me. This is that, but you threw a bucket of paint on him. He went to a tie-dye party.
Rather than inducing the stabbed debuff, the spikes stuck in the ground by the purple slice margle deal simultaneous poison and paralysis. And we here at CR-Volcanic encourage the use of defensive skills to counter monster abilities. So I'm not about to say, ew, double status. I think double status is kind of cool and neat.
Yeah, double status is fine. It can be annoying to deal with, but it's fine from a monster. And if this was anything else, I'd probably like it more. It's like a little better than base Slice Murgle in terms of its looks. I like that it's in a swamp region. I like the swamp regions. I wish they'd come back, but
The one thing I will say ew to is the color palettes.
I actually argue that I like this color palette slightly more than base Slice Murgle. Not by much, but a little bit more.
Lavender and bright blood orange is not the best look on the stab happy monkey wolf. The coolest thing about purple slice
I mean, from the front, it looks way better than on any kind of the side, but it's better than base Slice Murgle to me, but only a little bit.
By a landslide is when he sticks you with a flung spike, or if he punches you, he can give you the debuff stabbed paralysis, which is the greatest status name I think I have ever heard. This is paralysis on a timer that you can dive through at the right time to negate the effects of. That or you'll just be paralyzed on a delay. Neat premise, very unique. Kind of cool that there's some ways to get around it. Kind of easy to shake off, but I kind of just like the general premise, giving you like a ticking time bomb type of thing.
It's an interesting status variant. Still not enough to make me super...
I think his move pool is slightly expanded, but I didn't notice too much new about him. The status menace is definitely the best thing about him.
Yeah.
Let's give a 5 out of 10 for wanting.
I think I gave base Slice Murgle like a 5 or slightly higher than 5. I'm going to give this one a 6 because I think I gave base a 5. So I'm going to give this one a 6 because I like it slightly more than base Slice Murgle. But it's not amazingly gripping for me.
Purple Slice Margle.
Looking at him head on,
Crystal
better, but
Basarios.
Hmm.
Kind of weird that we got 2 brand new Basarios in this game, and neither of them have a corresponding Gravios in this.
Oh, I was talking about that during the Sandstone one. If you're gonna make a Gravios variant, you gotta give it a Basarios variant. You gotta give us a corresponding Gravios variant. It just makes sense. It's just right, but they never do it.
This game. Also weird is how Crystal Basarios kind of does nothing crystal-y. Instead, during his charge attack and when he shakes himself, he can lose several small boulders from his back to come crashing down on opponents around him.
Okay.
There's some sense to this, as the rocky shell on Crystal Basarios.
You know what? No, actually, just tell me that this is the Basarios version of Black Gravios. Just tell me that this is the Basarios version of Black Gravios, and I love it. Because it's just, the younger version of Black Gravios. Cool. Good. That's all you had to do. But it's its own crystal weird, okay. You know what? I'm gonna headcanon for my own sake. I'm gonna headcanon that this is Black Basarios young version because that makes it way better to me. And we're just gonna keep going.
Far larger than your typical Basarios, but it's just
like Black Gravios is to some extent.
Kind of odd to have the main gimmick of a crystal Basarios to be flinging black rocks. And
yeah, if you just said that this was, say, igneous Basarios, if you want to go rock name with it or something, and or just Black Basarios, boom, absolute cinema hands. But this, what? Don't call it crystal. Just say that this is the Gravios version of Black Basarios, and you're golden. Or I flipped that around. This is the Basarios version of Black Gravios. Boom, perfect. Calling it crystal? No.
That's kind of the neatest and most different thing that he does. He can expel fire gas from his underside like Gravios can, and other Basarios can't. So that's
yeah, except Basarios can do that now. So
kind of something. I do like how he looks.
And Basarios could always do that to some extent, just very, very, very rarely, if I'm remembering correct.
Black shell is neat. I do like how the red crystal layer at the base of his shell looks with the black, but
it looks great. And if this was the Basarios version of Black Gravios, no notes. But it's not. Or at least it's not made that clear that it is. Well, just make it the Basarios version of Black Gravios. Don't call it crystal.
It just doesn't seem to have a mechanical purpose. What I do appreciate about this design is the fact that the physical shape of Crystal Basarios is different to that of the regular monster. His shell is far larger. It extends down more to the tail. The vast majority of variations and subspecies do not have any alterations to the actual shape and size of the monster, and I appreciate that here.
Yeah, I mean, he looks fantastic. Just say that this is Black Basarios, and it becomes, adult Black Gravios, and it's just that continuation of that subspecies, and it would be flawless. But why? But you called it crystal, and you make it think it's something that's not that. Just call it black. Just connect the things there, because it makes so much more sense that way, and it's so much better that way. And I need to be quiet because there's people in this house that are probably trying to sleep right now, depending on what time it is. Oh yeah, they're definitely trying to sleep right now. Just make this young of Black Gravios. It's so much better that way.
But I don't know, I'm just a bit confused about the point of this guy. It feels like you could have had a really...
The point is that this is Black Gravios' Basarios counterpart, but they didn't call it that for some confounding reason.
Neat Basarios variant here, but there just really isn't that much going on. I don't know, 3 for this guy?
I'll give him a 6, and I would have given him a 7 if they just confirmed that that's what it was, and it would make perfect sense that way, and all would have been great. Now, for Shattered Monoblos, I really hope this is like Bloodbath Monoblos, and not just Deadeye, wounded Yangaruga type deal.
Shattered Monoblos. Apparently, when you snap the horn off a Monoblos, you throw off his equilibrium and make him spin a lot. Yeah, another variant on here with very minor mechanical changes. He does have the ability to double up on his tail backwards sweep, which is kind of a neat way to bait a hunter who isn't paying attention to approach from behind. And this detail is super minor, but Online was made back when we were still in that era of monsters having 60-degree turn angles for movement. Shattered Monoblos seems to be able to turn a full 180. It's a pretty small detail, but it's kind of interesting to point out. I do like the darkened shell and a little bit of the orange on the frill and destroyed horn.
It looks good.
Cool. I don't know, 3 out of 10 for a Shattered Monoblos, but
yeah, I'll give it a 6 because it's a bit better than I want more Monoblos. We need Monoblos to come back, but if they gave him the full bloodbath, the Diablos treatment, entirely different story, but they didn't, so
But hey, while we're talking about him, put the regular Monoblos in wilds, please.
Yes! Yeah. Keep it quieter. I've already said this and everything I've talked about wild. Give us Monoblos, Capcom. Give us Monoblos. Okay, first impression. This is either Rathian or Rathalos transitioning, one way or the other, or Rathian decided Jan Kutku wasn't enough balances and got with an Espinos.
Conflagration Rathian. So, a little bit of a caveat. When doing research for this video, I didn't really look at the fights for the monsters who were in online, who were also in mainline Monster Hunter. So, this monster, and I'm betting a couple of others on this roster, has a couple of moves on it that I'm sure the regular Rathian in online has, but I didn't really look at the regular Rathian. I just look at this one. So, I'm probably going to be more impressed with Conflagration Rathian in the context of this video than I would have been had I looked at the regular Rathian in online, because for a little bit, Rathian was the placeholder flagship of this game and got a bit of extra flair and some new extra moves before Australian came in and took things over. So all of these changes that I'm assuming are on the core Rathian and on Conflagration Rathian, I'm just gonna lump all of them under this banner as this new monster. So yeah, I'm gonna have a higher opinion of Conflagration Rathian within this context than I probably would have without it, just to...
Alright, I get you. But yeah, just looking at it, this is a Rathian that decided to transition.
Trying to make this little chunk clear.
Is that distasteful? It might be distasteful. If so, I apologize. But that's what it looks like to me. I got nothing wrong with that. I mean, but
And this fight looks
again,
pretty cool. The only real drawback here is that Conflagration Rathian is much more heavily armored than the standard Rathian, so you're at higher risk of bounce.
Yeah, even the head looks more Rathalos-like than your standard Rathian head. So yeah, this is just a Rathian that's more Rathalos-y. Or maybe, yeah, this is just a Rathian that's more Rathalos genetic express than normal. Or technically be less difference because it's the sexual dimorphism of the species, but yeah, it's just a Rathian with more Rathalos traits.
She's got a number of ways to change up her staple backflip attack. Namely, she can spin herself into the air, roar to stun hunters, and immediately follow up with a backflip. Kind of like what young Garuga can do, but with a lot more flair. She can angle her backflip a bit to throw off where she's going to actually hit you, which is a neat little alteration to the technique. And she can reverse the direction of her tail whip on the ground, which I don't believe I've seen any other monster be able to do before. She's also got some interesting mix-ups, like canceling her charges into a tail whip and diving out of the air only to immediately follow up with a backflip. Additionally, she has a much more powerful explosive breath attack than a normal Rathian, and through some method, she can ignite her tail during her backflip and send fire spraying off her tail in front of her. I'm going to assume those are the additions brought by the Conflagration Rathian specifically. I do like the red decorations on her spikes and spines and the bit of red tinge in her wings, though the render makes this red look a little bit more prominent than it actually is on the model. I think if she were ever to be brought back, I'd like a little bit more into the red. This one's kind of a neat variation, almost like a Rathian fighting style with Rathalos levels of fire and flying power.
Yeah.
She'd rank quite a bit lower as an improvement on Monster Hunter Online's Rathian, but on her own, in comparison to the Rathian we're all accustomed to, this is quite the cool retooling of a somewhat stale monster. I think if you kept the main series Rathian intact and ported over Conflagration as she is, you'd have a pretty memorable version of her.
I mean, yeah, it is interesting. But this does seem more like a variant or a deviant than a subspecies, and it's a Rathian that is expressing more Rathalos genetic traits. They genuinely, that's what this seems like, and that's cool. I mean, I made jokes, but it is cool, and I can see how that happens because it makes complete sense. At the same time, this is just a solid design, but it's not, screaming amazing about it. So I think he's about to give his rating. I'm going to do it first. I'm going to go 6.5 or 7. That, God damn it! No, did I seriously just do the fucking 6-7 thing? Oh, I hate myself. I seriously. Oh, I hate myself for doing that. Oh my. Gog Mazios, why? I can't believe I did that. God. Oh, I've been brain rotted. Help. Oh, I'm disgusted with myself for that. Okay. But yeah, this. I can't even say it anymore. I'd rate this, the numbers between 5 and 8. Moving on.
And with some further accentuation on her fire abilities,
I can't believe I
which
did
would
that.
be warranted due to the conflagration nomenclature, I think you'd have a really cool new Rathian. I'll give her a 7 out of 10 for wanting
Yeah, we already had that conversation. Moving on.
to see Rathian like this. Poikilos Lytena.
Okay, I like this design for Lytenia way better already. I'm assuming dragon elements?
Here we have a desert-dwelling dragon subspecies
Hey, got it. Now that was particularly hard.
of Lytena, and this beetle continues to impress. He substitutes
I like this way better. Might just be my preference for dragon lightning over regular, but this is good.
the gold and blue for near black and a dark pink. I don't know which one of these color palettes I like better, actually.
No, this, I know for sure. This one's better. By far, this one's better.
Traded his positive and negative charge shenanigans with electricity for an arsenal of powerful new dragon attacks and a healthy burst of speed, strength, and aggression. Some of these new attacks include horn sweeps, which leave arcs of dragon lightning in their wake, and a massive dragon elemental burst that sends out revolving orbs of the dangerous
Oh, and his lightning crest, some of the wings are silver now. This looks so much better.
energy. I think I'd rather take unique mechanics over cooler attacks, but only by so much. So I'm gonna knock Poikilos down 1 point to a 9 out of 10 for one.
That would actually be raising it for me, I think. So I am gonna say 9 out of 10 to and 2, which is higher than what I play Space Lytena, I think. But if it's not, I'm gonna go 9.5 because I like this version of Lytena way better.
To see him in Mayhem Monster Hunter. If they ever brought over the standard Lytena, I'd still love to see this subspecies come with him.
I'd rather this one over regular, honestly.
Infernal Tartaronus. This version of our friendly flying sea turtle is built for online's raid battles, which is pretty sweet right off.
Fire tornadoes are always a plus.
As the name would imply, this guy is much more fiery than the regular Tartaronus and dwells in volcanic regions. What's cool about Infernal Tartaronus is that he flies a bit more, and your method of getting him down is a little bit more involved than just shooting him down with a ballista binder, as you do with the regular Tartaronus. There are these explosive chunks of volcanic rock that you need to load up in a cannon.
Something about this version flying in the volcanic region feels more right than the regular base Tartaronus flying. I don't know why that is, but it feels more correct that it's flying here than the base one.
And fire at him to bring him down. Meanwhile, you have these fiery thunderbugs who kinda just come out of nowhere and will start attacking people carrying the cannon ammo. You'll want to have some of your hunters defending the hunters transporting the ammunition. And on top of that, Infernal Tartaronus is kicking up fire tornadoes that'll start whirling across the battlefield, so have fun with that. For the most part, he doesn't look nearly as good as the regular Tartaronus.
I think I'd actually rank this one as very, very slightly higher than base Tartaronus.
He replaces some of the more earthy desert colors with a much more charcoal gray, and his underbelly and outside of his fins are nearly white. However, when he's flying and he lights himself up with internal heat, sending flames coursing through his body, he does look pretty good. Infernal doesn't look as good as the original Tartaronus, and for some reason, perhaps due to the fact that being in a volcano makes him look like he's really trying to be cool, he doesn't quite capture the same awe as the original monster does.
Maybe, but at the same time, I like this version a little bit better, I think.
However, this fight does seem
No, I do. I think I like this version a little bit better.
a bit better put together. So I'll give him an 8 for wanting to see him return to Monster Hunter.
I think I gave him an 8 I think I gave the last one a 7. I'll give this one an 8. Elemental Mephistion. Now, I already talked extensively in the last one about base Mephistion. Absolutely, 100%, unequivocally, it's a guardian monster. I refuse to drop the conspiracy of it not being one. But let's see what I think about Elemental.
Elemental Mephistopheles. So here we have a variant of Mephistopheles who can do everything the regular Mephistopheles can, but bumped up another 3 levels. Along with his fire and dragon forms, this bad boy has ice, water, and thunder now added to his repertoire. Like his fire and dragon forms, these additional elemental states don't add a lot of new attacks, but rather change the mechanics of what his elemental attacks can do. In his water state, he is surrounded by a water aura that inflicts the movement speed down debuff. This is a super neat and pretty dangerous ability that makes a lot of sense for a water aura. Like it's trying to weigh you down as you're trying to move around within it and trying to either approach or get away from Mephistopheles. But to be a little bit of a downer, the effect doesn't look very good. Not too sure what you do to make a good looking water aura, but this is...
Uthuna's cloak could be a good example. Or, instead of it being an aura, it's like a steaming mist around him.
I don't know, it's not.
I guess
it
technically
looks like
an aura.
It clips super awkwardly through his body. In his ice form, his aura and his ice beams can inflict a frozen status that will freeze hunters in place after an allotted time. And in his thunder form, his lightning attacks now inflict paralysis. I'm of two minds on this guy. On the one hand, I really like all the creative status ailments that are inflicted via his elemental attacks. I feel like it's a really creative way to make a multi-element monster. On the other hand, though the regular Mephistopheles is pretty derivative Fatalis whilst doing his own thing, now you have him derivative of Fatalis and even more so Alatreon. Well,
the thing is, base Mephistopheles is just... This is still base Mephistopheles. It just has charged up on more elements, it seems like. Which again, if this was another equal dragon weapon guardian monster attempt like Zoshia, but based off of Arkveld's chain genetics, and instead, and was again, say the final boss of a Z rank expansion for wilds or something like that I'm very much thinking about doing another fan spec for, that would be incredible. Because again, this is... I will refuse to drop this. This is a guardian monster.
yes,
This is a guardian monster based off of Fatalis and Arkveld, with maybe a little sprinkle of Alatreon thrown in, but its elemental powers are from stealing it from others, not its own thing. And it looks like a guardian monster so much. I already went on a whole rant at the end of the last stream about this. Guardian monster. I know it's not, but it looks... It's every box is ticked, even though it was made before that was a concept and probably just inspired the concept. But you have to see it. You all voted like you saw on the stream thing. It's gotta be.
managing to do his own thing, and that makes him mildly less interesting to me. The fact he has just another monster to be compared to. Additionally, he now has 5 forms that are all pretty similar movement-wise to one another, and I think that erodes a little bit of the interest I have in each form.
No, I am literally the same exact thought and interest on him as base Mephistion, because in my mind, this is just base Mephistion that got to charge up a bit more on different elemental sources. I'm still going to give it a 10 out of 10 because of the same things I've talked about before last time with Mephistion Initial, and the idea of this could totally be revealed to be a guardian monster, and the ideas and all of that would go so hard. It would be so cool.
A little, as now they kind of...
And new gen, and obviously he'd get a new gen tune-up with his moves, and they'd be more differentiated, like Alatreon's were.
Start to blend together a little.
Though if they gave him an Eschaton Judgment, that might drop my rankings, because I hate Eschaton Judgment so much. I still haven't beat Alatreon, and I really need to do that one day.
more, as he has 5 different states, but they're all really not doing that much different. So it's a little less easy to appreciate the differences in each one. At least that's kind of how I feel. But I do really like how each one interprets the detrimental abilities of its elements. Kind of like Infernal Turnarotus, there's some gives and some takes here. So I'm going to balance it out with Mephistophelian's score and give Elemental Mephistophelan a 9 out of 10 for wanting to see him as well.
I'm still giving it
Australian. Okay.
I'm still giving it a 10 because I still see this as just Mephistophelan, but it got more elements to use. And I think that's good. Like I'm not going to continue the rant about it being totally a guardian monster, even though it's not, but let's get on to this one. And immediately, I don't like the color scheme as much.
Okay. So we're starting to improve on Australian a little bit here, which is what I really wanted to see with variations, because I really want to love this monster.
Same. And it is so sad and disappointing that we didn't get to see what fully actualized Elder Dragon Australian is. But at the same time, I like base Australian's look more. The purple is I like purple and white normally, but this doesn't look as good as base to me.
This subspecies of Online's flagship discards the reddish browns and fiery insectoid wings for a black and white shell and gorgeous looking dark violet accents and star butterfly.
The star butterflies look better like this, but I'm not vibing with them on the white Australian. Doesn't seem to fit as well.
When it comes to combat, Doom Australian doesn't seem to have too many differences in her physical attack roster, making this still not the most impressive fight out there, but Doom Australian really seems to improve upon the Star Butterfly concept. Not only do the Star Butterflies seem a bit more aggressive in Doom Australian's fights, not only do they do an absolute crap load of damage, which makes the fight much more intense, but now they can burrow underground and shoot up from under you in a swoop. The better incorporation of the Star Butterflies and that tremendous damage makes Doom Australian look more imposing than the regular Australian. Even
if they just gave that to base Australian, it'd be better.
Though she isn't doing much different herself. The need to watch your back at all angles to make sure the Star Butterflies aren't sneaking in, whilst still needing to keep tabs on her, I think makes the fight look a lot more heart-pounding. I'm going to rank Doom Australian at an 8, a little bit higher than the normal Australian, and hasn't moved the needle too much just yet. But now let's see what the final form of our flagship and our final monster.
Okay, so I think I gave base Australian a 6. I think, because of the potential it had, but it didn't really do too much. I'll give this one 7, because it is an improvement on base Australian. I don't like the look of it as much. They should have just given its abilities to base Australian. That would have been better, in my mind. But the butterflies do look better in the purple color. I like that more. It just doesn't fit with the albino recolor of the Australian itself. Let's see what the final version has to offer.
Today can do Arbiter Australian.
Ooh, that immediately looks way better. You put the purple winged version of the Star Butterflies on this.
This is what I'm talking about. The Arbiter Australian is fast, powerful, tenacious, and boasting a
Actually, it looks good with the regular Star Butterflies too.
Nice, wide, healthy move pool that Australians really been needing.
Oh, and it's got element breath now.
Down from Doom is that the destruction Star Butterflies that Arbiter utilizes are less numerous and less aggressive, but no less strong. They're a little less baked into Arbiter's kit than they are Doom's. Arbiter Australian only uses her armored state and winged state, which is fine because regular and Doom Australian barely even use their base state, so I hardly even know what the difference is anyway. And when she's fully charged, she barely even needs the butterflies to be ruthless. She's got explosive chaining bite attacks, burst creating backflip tail slams, massive lunging explosive slams, fiery projectile attacks.
This is what Australian should have been.
sweeping flamethrower, flaming tail spins in and out of the air, exploding paw strikes, lots of really good-looking, high-speed, high-aimed attacks that combo
This is the realized version of the monster.
more easily into one another. This fight looks really...
Yes.
The design for Arbiter Australian is pretty damn great, especially all lit up. Her shell...
it should have been the base version, but Arbiter Australian is good. I like this.
Gray color with a bit of green mixed in, which looks pretty damn good. And holy, when the wings go up and it looks like there's just jets of fire pouring off her body,
It is so good.
Nothing short of phenomenal. Strangely, though the color of her wings and flames indicate that she would be a fire monster, her attacks inflict dragon blight. I'm not...
It looks... This... I don't know what the confusion here. This looks dragon elemental enough to me.
Sure why that is.
It's dragon
if
element.
Australian were to make her way back into Monster Hunter,
It does look more fiery on the projectiles, but it's still... It's enough that I could see that being dragon.
you could do a few things. Regular Australian has the best design and coolest personality. Doom Australian has the best control of her butterflies. And Arbiter Australian is the best single combatant.
Yes.
You could roll all of these into the base Australian, or accentuate the strengths of each and keep them separate. One way or the other, this is getting a 9 out of 10 for wanting to see it in Modern Monster Hunter.
Yeah. I'll go the same. I'll give this a 9 because this is what Australian should have been, honestly. It's actually, you just take everything about Arbiter Australian, give it the better butterfly controls of the previous one. Perfect monster. And then can you imagine what the full Elder Dragon version instead of the Demi Elder one would have been? That could have been so good. If only.
This is the Australian I was really hoping to see.
Yes.
I'm very happy to cap this video off on such a badass high note.
And it is. It's got good music, too. Of course, that's a given. It's Monster Hunter, but... So much better than the base. You know what? Actually, I'm gonna bump it up to a 10. I want Australian, a fully realized Australian in mainline Monster Hunter a lot. Actually, this is great. And more than that, fully realized Australian and the adult full Elder Dragon version, because what would that even be? And the potential there is so good. And it is so sad that that's not happening. You got it in it with Proof of a Hero. Dun, dun, dun. Bum, 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 dun, 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 dun. I love Proof of a Hero so much. It's gotta be one of the best theme tracks of all time. But yeah, this was, between the two streams, I ended up turning this into a really awesome look at what online had to offer, and it is such a shame that we're probably never going to see these come to mainline, but one can dream, right? One can dream. I do think the subspecies of lightning bug would be way better, honestly, but so many of these were so good, and all of them, even Slice Murgle, and Slice Murgle was the one that did the most in this variant, all of them feel Monster Hunter more than ever. Like, with the ones from Frontier, there were a couple of them that, especially the final one, that did not feel like Monster Hunter monsters. every monster from online that we saw is a Monster Hunter monster. Even the ones I didn't like, they fit. Because even the ones that are bad subspecies and such, it still works. You know, none of them feel not Monster Hunter. None of them feel like they're going too far into there's no grounding to this fantasy of them. All of them were good. Like, all of them, I mean, there were a few that I was one or two I didn't like a lot, but none that I actually detested. You know, all of them were cool at some extent. Like, even the ones that I felt on, it's Monster Hunter monsters, and I love them for that because I love Monster Hunter. And I am just heartbroken, genuinely, that we're not going to get to see some of these because licensing shenanigans and who owns what questions. Well, never say never. There's always a chance, but I would so love to see some of them come back to mainline or come into mainline. And I really hope that happens one day, even though it's nigh impossible. But you never know what the future holds, right? God, just him especially, I really want him to come to mainline because he seems like such a phenomenal hunt. Oh, I love Proof of a Hero. I'm guessing this is Wild's online's version of it, but
Ladies and gentlemen, Monster Hunter Online is in the books. Another really damn good grab bag of creatures, abilities, mechanics, subspecies. Online was a whole hell of a lot of fun to research and discover and uncover and really get to know while making this.
And thank you for doing it, because I thought the few of these I had seen glimpses of here and there across the internet were from Frontier. I didn't even know online was a thing for the most part. And there are quite a few of them that I do really, really wish we could have gotten to come to mainline, because so good. Not Sly Smurgle though. Sly Smurgle's pretty meh.
A healthy chunk of issues with it, and I wasn't as blown away as I was with a monster quality that was in Frontier, admittedly.
No, because I enjoyed I'll have to check out CR-Volcanic's Frontier video if they give me the go ahead. Which, by the way, if you're watching, you could do that here. I'd really appreciate it. But either way, I'll have to check out their video on Frontier, see their thoughts on it. But a lot of the monsters from Frontier, like, none of them, I mean, okay, a few of them did, but all of the ones from online felt so much more Monster Hunter than a good chunk of the ones from Frontier. And a lot more of Frontier felt like Monster Hunter than I was expecting when I looked through it, but online feels like it gets it more, you know? And while there were a decent few from Frontier that I would like to see come back, the monsters, there is a lot less from online that I would be okay with not coming back than there are the ones from Frontier I would not like to come back, you know? And it is such a shame that if we're going to get any of them, it's going to be the Frontier, because, because licensing stuff, because there are a lot more of the ones from online that I really want to hunt, especially Disaster Wyvern, Rukador, whatever. I so want to hunt them. And Mephistion, because again, Mephistophelan, Guardian monster, you gotta see that. But this was great. I very, very much enjoyed it. I hope you guys did too.
There are some really great concepts in here that absolutely feel undercooked in terms of lore and combat, though that could be attributed to a lot of things. And to be fair to the online development team at Tencent, the standards set by the Monster Hunter developers at Capcom are astronomically high. So, though Frontier
Yeah.
surprised me more, the monsters of Monster Hunter Online charmed me and endeared me to their quirks and
Yeah.
creativity. If these creatures are owned by Tencent, which I'm pretty sure they are,
Which sucks. Because we're probably never going to see them.
never to appear in another game, never to be purchased by Capcom, never to be implemented into an off-brand title, that'll be a real shame. Now, believe it or not, I do not work for Capcom or Tencent's legal department. I don't know exactly where things are and how things are going to pan out. And the chances for these monsters making their return is not zero, but it looks slim. And if it never happens, at least they got to exist for 6 good years.
Yeah, at least they got to be. At least we got to actually see them here and now. I really hope that some way, somehow, some of them do end up getting, like he said, and like I said, I don't know the legalese here at all. I don't know who owns what. But I can dream, you know? And I really do hope some of them end up in mainline someday.
At least footage of them and information on them is still up for people to see. They'll never fully be forgotten. And hey, second best case scenario, someone resurrects the servers for Monster Hunter Online, much like what has been done for Frontier and a few other
That'd be cool.
series. I'd check it out if it happens. You know, flaws and all with online. I love this project. I love this work, and I love you, fantastic people who continue to support these videos and support the channel, whether it's through likes and views and subscribing here on YouTube for free or going above and beyond on the Patreon. Doing this as a means of making a living is a dream that's manifesting itself into a reality faster than I expected. I don't know exactly when this video is coming out, but I'm aiming for this to be an anniversary video set to drop on January 9th or 10th of 2024. Whether or not this comes out a little late, this is my 1-year anniversary video. A year ago, I was squandering myself, waiting for something to happen to me rather than making something of myself. Not unhappy, but trapped, spinning the wheels, purposeless. So
yeah, I know that feeling. Hopefully one day I'll get there too. Because, I mean, good for you, man. Good for you. Genuinely. I know, so maybe one day this channel or the main will get to that point. It'd be phenomenal if that happened. But like I said, go check out CR-Volcanic. Link to the video we watched here in the description. You can find them through that. This was great. It was.
I did what I had wanted to do for a very long time. Picked out an editing software and started making YouTube videos.
Yeah.
My goal was to hit 1,000 subs in my first year. We're closing in on 5,000. We crossed 500,000
Hell yeah,
views.
dude.
500,000.
Whoa. That is incredible. Genuinely.
So, let's set a new goal. 20,000 subscribers by January 2024.
You know what, guys? If this video gets the Moog Exercise channel to 20,000 subscribers by January of 2020, no. Oh, that's not happening. Can you imagine? I had to make the joke. But please do subscribe if you're new, if you haven't already. But yeah, also check out the main channel, Moog Art. I do art and animation stuff there. But like I said, go check out CR-Volcanic too, because this was fantastic. And I very, very much enjoyed getting to look at parts of Monster Hunter I never got to experience. And it looks like he is actually getting pretty close to that 20,000. He's not there. But you say 20,000?
20,000 subscribers by January 2024. This upcoming year is going to be a building year.
I mean, he don't seem to have gotten there, sadly, but hey, maybe you guys can help out with that. I will myself, actually, because this was great, and I hope to check out more of your videos to come. Maybe on this channel, maybe just on my own time, because this was great. I keep saying that, but it genuinely was. And seems like we've come to the end. So, y'all have just been kind of watching quietly this whole time. Anyone wants to say something before we call it quits for the evening? You got a minute or two to do that? But I just love Monster Hunter, man. I do. It is. People have joked that I know have joked about this when I said this a long time ago, but the series is genuinely etched into my soul. It has been a part of my life for about as long as I can remember, and I ought to find that one video I mentioned last stream about, like, I'm a working class person in a world that doesn't exist or something, whatever the title of it was, because it expresses my feelings for Monster Hunter a lot more articulately than I can in a lot of ways. Anyone saying nothing? All right. Well, this has been fun. It genuinely has, and I hope to check out more from CR-Volcanic at some point in the future. But until further ado, I guess, I'll see you next stream or next video. Like, subscribe, do all that stuff. Go say hi to CR-Volcanic. And yeah.